This is my intro music. Welcome to the video. I hope you like it lots, so don't forget to subscribe and click the thumbs up button. Now let's react.
Hey, hi, hello there, and welcome to another episode of An Anthropologist Watches Glitter and Lasers. And I'm not gonna lie, I've already recorded this once, so if my voice sounds a bit rough, that's because I spent an hour already doing this. So if you hear my phone going off, that's because I was like, there's a lot going on today, okay? I can't tell you about it, you guys, but it'll totally blow your mind when I finally don't tell you anything about it. Sorry. Anyway, I do have to keep an eye on my phone though, so I apologize. But I have already watched this, so I know we can skip like the first 2 minutes of this video because it's just some weird way of her cutting things in to make this collage-like intro, and it's very confusing and jarring, and I hate it. I also know what she's going to say at this point going into it, so the thing is like, spoilers. I know she's going to be getting, or she's pursuing lipedema surgery, and I don't care if I'm mispronouncing the word anymore. I really don't. So I know she's pursuing surgery. I'm confused as to what doctor would agree to perform surgery on her, considering, to my knowledge, she's never shown us her pursuing any other treatment for her lipedema. Nothing. Not compression, not massage, not... She mentions dry brushing in this video. She's never... Her diet, she claims she sticks to around 18 to 2,000 calories a day. In what world, Anna? Like, that snack day that you showed us, you were eating over 1,000 calories in snacks. She claims she's done all these things. She's done everything she can except surgery at this point. And to my knowledge, that's not how this works. Just watching Jordan Underwood and their pursuit of treatment, and don't get me wrong, Jordan had like a straight up meltdown where they were claiming they would rather die than eat a keto style diet and yada yada yada. And yet Jordan still did a keto style diet. As far as I know, is still doing it. Did the compression wraps, did the lymphatic drainage therapy, does water therapy, has lost a significant amount of weight. They're still obese, don't get me wrong. But they've lost an incredible amount of weight for them, considering they're not really trying. But also, their legs look so much better. Like, their legs look like actual legs now, and not just like tubes that go down to their ankles. And they've regained their mobility. And this is all just from non-surgery based treatment. And I know Jordan, or I believe Jordan was going to pursue surgery eventually, but it was my understanding that like that was like end stage treatment, that they had to go through all of those other forms of treatment to get to the surgery. Anna hasn't done any of that. And Anna looks like she's just trying to find a cheat code to jump from actual treatment all the way to surgery, because she thinks that doing surgery is just going to magically make everything better. And that kind of comes out a little bit in this video, in between her sobbing into the camera, which we'll talk about that in a second. But she mentions the Wegovy. My thoughts on the Wegovy are, Anna wanted a magical pill to help her just magically melt weight off, and so she started taking Wegovy and did nothing else to change her lifestyle. And so yeah, she lost weight on Wegovy, and then eventually it plateaued. And then the Wegovy didn't work anymore, basically, because Anna won't actually do the things she needs to do to change her lifestyle to actually facilitate weight loss and maintaining the weight loss, right? She's just looking for shortcuts. Anna just wants to lay down one day and then wake up looking like a Barbie doll, and it's just not going to happen. It just doesn't work like that. But Anna also wants to delude herself and her audience into thinking that she's done everything in her power and nothing has worked. Like, at one point she's even sort of kind of making the argument that lipedema fat is somehow heavier than regular fat. And I just don't think that's true. I just don't think that's true. There's a bunch of stuff in here that I'm slightly confused about, and that could just be because Anna's not really explaining it very well. Anna's not an expert, so, you know, that goes without saying. But there's just things that I have questions about, so I'll bring them up as we hit them. This is a 22-minute video. Hopefully I can cut this one down a little bit more. I spent a little too much time yelling at the camera in the first version, but there's no sound, so it's pointless. So let's go ahead and do take 2 of this. All right, so like I said, we're going to skip the first, I think it was 2 and some change minutes, because it's basically her just doing this weird collage, and it's really annoying. Okay, so I think we're at the beginning of the actual video at this point. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Thank you to my members. Thank you to my subscribers. You guys rock. Thank you to everybody who's going to hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down button. It's one of those kind of videos, so either is appreciated. I'm going to bring up a couple different dark anthropology principles as we go through, but I think I said this in another video. I'm changing the names of these terms, so I may just be kind of mentioning that they're principles and then kind of describing them this time. I don't know. They need better names, punchier, cooler names. So if I'm vague about things, that's why. But I am going to try to put some different principles in here, just because this video is 100% manipulation across the board. Like, the crying aside, this is just Anna creating a narrative where she's painting this picture of herself. Eventually she gets to the point where she's just painting herself as a helpless victim, and what she's really doing here is setting the groundwork to make herself bulletproof to criticism, because she knows she's going to get a lot of criticism for this. And she even mentions that at, I think, halfway through this video, that she knows she's going to get a lot of backlash for this. And I'm sorry, rightfully so. But she spends a lot of this video basically just building the groundwork for making herself bulletproof, so that if we, the audience, or we, the reactors, criticize her in any way, shape, or form, we're criticizing the victim in the situation, and that makes us the bad people. But Anna also has this problem that, and she's mentioned this in her book, A Life Full of Glitter, any form of criticism to Anna is a personal attack. Anna does not see any criticism in any kind of positive light. So any kind of dissent against her opinions or her decisions, or any kind of criticism of those things, Anna views that as a personal attack, and therefore it is evil. So that's part of the issue here. She's building a base for her to be the perpetual victim here, so that she cannot be criticized, and also establishing that any form of criticism from this point forward is going to be an attack, and she's prepared for it. She's very melodramatic through this entire video. She uses a lot of tactics, manipulative tactics, plus the crying, which, I'm sorry, there's no reason to cry on a video. It's just not. You're choosing to leave that in your video. I have a very negative reaction to people crying in videos, especially when they cry like this. Happy tears, okay, I'll suffer through happy tears. Tears like this is just feel bad for me 101, right? So no, I tend to shut down when those kind of things happen. So when she starts to cry, you might notice I get a lot more vicious, and that's just because I really don't like it. But she also does things like establishing herself as, you will also notice her doing things like trying to rewrite history, rewrite her own past. Not exactly gaslighting, just trying to reinterpret details or things of her past that we can actually sort of double check, unless she's decided to delete the videos. But we can double check a lot of the things that she says here. She brings up her 5K again, and noticeably doesn't mention that she ran the 5K. She just mentions that she did the 5K. She talks about her past self as if that self was more mobile and not in pain, and just not suffering from a lot of symptoms that she claims she is now suffering from. It's just a way of her creating this past self that was better and somehow not burdened by the results of being obese your entire life. She's still trying to push this BOPO fat acceptance narrative that her obesity isn't contributing to the problems that she has. And it's like, yeah, It does. I mean, I get that skinny people can also get lipedema. However, that's not the issue. That's not the situation here with glitter and lasers. She mentions briefly that she has other comorbidities along with her lipedema, but blames the lipedema for the comorbidities and not the obesity. And it's just like, Anna's pushing 40, right? I don't know if she is 40 or if she's turning 40, but she's been big her entire life. All right. These are decisions that she has made. Like she bought into BOPO, she bought into fat acceptance. She's still very much ingrained into them, even if she's not one of their figureheads anymore. So this is just what happens. This is the result of not only being obese for so long, but for pretending like being obese doesn't have any negative repercussions. If you don't take care of yourself, you're eventually going to start falling apart. That's the reality of the situation. All right, so I've got her sped up to time and a quarter. I do have the closed captions on because at some points she starts sobbing so bad I can't understand what she's saying. So there's that. And I can't think of anything else to mention. Oh, I did do a reaction to her swimsuit haul. And in her swimsuit haul, I do mention that she seems kind of low energy. She's still in Miami, which is where she was at during that swimsuit haul. So I'm guessing all of this is occurring at roughly the same time. So I will be posting the swimsuit haul. I just kind of wanted to do this video first. But anyway, that's enough of an introduction. Let's go!
In 1 week, I am having surgery to address my lipedema. And I felt like I needed to come and just explain why and how I got to this point. About 2 years ago, I started talking about my health journey. And in the beginning, I was really open about everything going on.
Uh-huh. You were so open that no one even knew you were taking Wegovy. You played your cards so close that you tried to pretend like your weight loss was purely from exercise alone and had no outside assistance, which I don't care if people want to take a Wegovy or the GL1 GPL, whatever, the semaglutide or Ozempic or whatnot. I have no issues with that. I have issues with Anna taking it, not telling her audience, and pretending like she was losing weight by exercise alone. It doesn't work like that, all right? So I don't appreciate the dishonesty. And now she's sitting here being like, I was so open with you guys. No, you weren't. You were actively lying to your audience.
But as time went on, there was just so much criticism, and it affected my mental health. And I also was afraid that I would start making decisions based on what people thought of me versus what was actually best for me. So I decided.
What is with her and Amber and I think Foodie's pulled this shit too. I don't want to be influenced by the internet when it comes to making decisions for myself. Then don't be. I don't let the internet make decisions for me. It's between me and whatever professional I'm addressing at the time.
Decided at that point to pull back and to allow myself the time to make the right decisions. And that with the intention of maybe not ever sharing it. But now.
Which is also acceptable, honestly. Anna started her channel off as a fashion clothing haul channel. There was no real need for her to veer off into health and fat acceptance and all that shit. So, excuse my swearing. So that would be perfectly acceptable too. If at this point she was like, I'm never sharing another thing about my health journey, that would be fine too, you know? But you don't get to vague post about it either, so.
I feel a responsibility to share it because I genuinely feel like I dealt with my condition too late, and I can be honest about that, and I am working on not punishing myself for that because I think it's an unfair thing to punish myself for, but it's something I deeply feel right now. Therapy is great, I'll get through it, but right now I'm not.
The only therapy I know that she's getting is through BetterHelp, and I don't really like BetterHelp as a therapy platform. I don't have anything against telehealth or that kind of stuff. I just don't think BetterHelp is really the way to go. So I know there are some people that said that it's helped them a lot, but I just think generally, I don't think it's a good thing.
And if I can help somebody else,
it's also not the best form of therapy for her.
Get the treatment and care they need and figure out how to do that, I want to be that person because I don't want anyone else to go through what I'm going through right now.
Anna has to be an inspiration. Anna has to be the most inspiring, most positive, most helpful person that you have ever met. She has to live rent-free in your brain, which is why I don't understand why she gets so irritated at reactors. because according to her and everyone else, they live rent-free in my brain. Got a lot of people up there. They probably should start paying rent. Uh, but Anna has to be so unique that you will never forget her. And that includes being so inspirational that 20 years from now, you'll be like, oh yes, Anna O'Brien inspired me to do XYZ.
So I have lost about 100 pounds. And in January, I stopped losing weight. I was taking Wegovy. I know I've never talked about my medication before, but it is important to the story.
So I wasn't going to talk about it unless I thought it was important, because admitting that I was taking a weight loss drug while I was losing weight would be wrong.
I'm going to talk about it here, and I'm not endorsing anything. You should go see your doctor for any medical treatment. It's just important to the storyline. So I've been on the Wegovy for about, I'm going to say 8 months, and I just stopped losing weight. And I was keeping around an 1,800 to 2,000 calorie diet, and I was training for my 5K.
Those cook with me videos, shorts that she was putting out, those meals were 1,800 to 2,000 calories a piece. So I just call hard bullshit on her only eating 2,000 to 1,800 calories a day. I refuse to believe that that's true. Also, she's never provided any evidence of that. So later on, she'll make some stupid ass argument, and I will probably launch into my, this side has science and facts on in its favor. This side is nothing but feels. I need evidence for claims like this, because visually, just judging by her and the fact that she started gaining weight again, there's no way in hell she's only eating 18,000 to 2,000 calories.
And if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below just so you can get an idea of like what I was doing. And that was weird. That was unusual. And I was tracking just like everything according to what I needed to be my best and healthiest self. And so it was very frustrating. So my doctor was like, well, maybe we'll try a different medication. Zepbound goes up higher in its dosages. Maybe you just need a higher dosage. We went on Zepbound. And by we, I mean I went on Zepbound. Nobody else joined me. It wasn't like a collective, but.
Guess you needed to clarify that, because people would have been confused. So she was on the highest dose, apparently, she was on the highest dose of Wegovy, was still gaining weight, and so needed to go to a medication that goes higher. Guys, I just don't believe it.
I ended up having a really bad allergic reaction, and it also made me hungry versus stabilizing my appetite, so it was not good for me.
I believe she may have had an allergic reaction to the Zepbound, because I know people have varying reactions to the drugs. Not all of them are good for everybody, right? So I sure, making her hungrier? I don't know, guys.
And I also started to have like pain, and we thought that was related to the allergic reaction, because allergic reactions can cause inflammation and all kinds of other things. Didn't pay any mind to it, detoxed off the medication, went back on to Wegovy, and then I felt great again. Still wasn't losing weight. So my doctor was like, maybe it's just a plateau, just keep going. And I did. And in June, whenever I went to the doctor in LA, like 2 weeks previously, I can't even remember when that was. So
can't even keep her timeline straight.
Oh gosh.
Even though there's video documentation of it.
I want to say it's March, but that could be wrong. It could also be April. It's all a blur right now. But what happened is I went to the doctor again, still wasn't losing weight. So she was like, we're going to try a different medicine combo, but I think you need to see somebody about your lipedema before we make any big decisions. And I was like, okay. And I literally just felt like they're going to tell me the same things that I've heard from every doctor. And I've heard about my lipedema.
Every other doctor that I've been to who I've clearly not followed any of their directions of.
From my obesity specialist, which was who I was seeing, my vascular surgeon because of like my spider veins and circulatory issues as a result of lipedema, also from my primary care doctor. And I just felt like it was going to be like the dry brushing, the self-lymphatic massage, wearing compression socks, compression pants if I can find ones that fit me correctly, which I couldn't at the time, changing my diet, which I'd already done, exercising, maybe reducing the high impact stuff. Like I knew that that's what I was going to hear, and so I didn't expect anything different.
Reducing the high impact exercise would help with the lipedema? Y'all are gonna have to let me know, because I don't have it, and as far as I know, I don't know anybody who has it. So okay, but like, have we ever heard her demonstrate and or talk about any of this? Honestly, I can't recall it. Maybe I'm wrong. It's entirely possible, but I just don't remember it. So I call bullshit on her claim here. I call bullshit.
Different, right? So I went in, and I also wanted to know, like, when I was ready, how much would surgery cost and all of that. I saw several doctors, and we'll talk about that in a different video, but I did see several doctors, and every single one of them said the same thing.
And you still didn't do anything that they said. Look at that face. Look at that face. That's her. And I didn't like anything that they had to say, so I didn't do anything that they recommended.
Which was that I was very close to losing mobility, which was extremely shocking to me because I felt great. I didn't have pain. My inflammation was like under control. So I was like, I'm fabulous, right?
She's claiming between April and now that she's seen 3 different specialists and they've all said that she's losing mobility, right? I will give Anna that she is more mobile than all of the girls so far. Maybe April Lauren's going to blow her out of the water now that April's, I think, past her 6-week point. But anyway, from her surgery. But Anna is more active than most of the girls are. That being said, Anna is constantly bitching about how much pain she's in, how her body doesn't do what she wants it to do, how she thinks she's stronger than she is, how her body's betraying her, how her body's doing X when she thinks it should be doing Y. She's always tired. She's always worn out. Anna is constantly complaining about the condition of her body. And now she wants to sit here and be like, but I wasn't feeling anything. I didn't feel any pain. I was excited and happy and bouncy and pain-free. Girl, you were constantly complaining about being in pain. And that includes during your 5K when you re-injured your knee. And you were telling people that you were taking ibuprofen before you went to work out because you knew you'd be in pain afterwards. You were always mentioning being in pain, and you want me to believe that you weren't? What? This is what I'm talking about, this weird, like, rewriting of her past. Like, this is all documented. This is all from her videos that she's posted on her channels, right? This isn't something that I had to go dig for. Okay?
But every single one of them is like, you need to deal with this soon. And so, the first time I heard it, I was like, okay. Second time I heard it, I was like, you make a good point. Third time I heard it, I actually started to get scared.
So she had to be told 3 separate times by 3 separate doctors that her lipedema was going to cause her to lose mobility before she actually decided to do something about it. Now, Jordan Underwood mentioned that the reason they even went to a doctor and started pursuing the lipedema treatment was because they had lost mobility. Like their legs had basically swollen to a point where they couldn't walk. And I'm guessing that's kind of what's happening with Anna right now. Or has been happening to Anna over the past few months now. I don't know. But you needed 3 separate doctors to tell you that, even though one of them was an obesity specialist, according to you?
So I made the decision that during the summer is the slowest time of year for me work-wise. It made the most sense to, if I was going to do it then. So I made the decision to have surgery, scheduled the appointment, and started the process of prepping for surgery. And again, I'm still feeling pretty good at this point. As part of surgery protocol, you have to go off GLP-1s and several other medications, okay?
Here's where I start to get a little confused with her story because I'm just basing it off of my own experience. And I realize that different surgeries probably have different protocols. However, mine wasn't even that invasive. Anyway. And they wanted me off of any kind of blood thinner, which included fish oil. I did not know that was a blood thinner. Apparently it is. Anyway, so I wasn't allowed to be on any kind of blood thinner whatsoever. Fish oil was mentioned by name. And I wasn't allowed to have basically any over-the-counter painkillers whatsoever. I had to ask permission to still be on my Wellbutrin and my anxiety meds. And they said those were fine. But I did have to ask about that. So I basically so for 2 weeks leading into my surgery, I was off everything except those meds. which is fine. Wasn't that big of a deal for me. I was worried about getting a migraine, but I didn't. So I'm just guessing that she's been off these drugs for 2 weeks. And my reason for guessing that, or maybe she's only been off for a week at this point because she said in a week she's going to be having the surgery. So because she's going to go on about Wegovy here in a minute. And she's going to make it sound like the withdrawal symptoms from Wegovy are causing her to have flare-ups in pain. And she's also going to make it sound like she's been off Wegovy for months at this point. So I'm just confused as to what the timeline here actually looks like, because she doesn't know her own timeline, and she doesn't try to clarify the timeline at all either. I don't know exactly when this video has been recorded. I know it was posted 15 hours ago as of today, which is June 27th. So, like, that's all I know timeline-wise. I know she's in Miami, and that's it, right? So, that's all I've got. So I don't know how long she's been off her Wegovy at this point. And the withdrawal symptoms that she starts to mention here are kind of severe in my opinion. But again, I've never been on a GLP-1. So for those of you that were, specifically if you were on Wegovy and you came off of it, did you have any of these kind of symptoms as well? Don't trauma dump, because the internet, not a safe space. But if you feel like you can share and you would like to, I'm just curious.
Just because they thin the blood or they can cause problems with anesthesia, I started to go off of the Wegovy. And
The bookie.
it's been really, honestly, terrible. I don't have another word for it. I don't want this to be a cry video, but it really is a cry video, because I started to really feel the condition in my body in a way. Like, I always had some pain. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I have a really high pain tolerance, and that is just a symptom of the life I've lived. But this was new, and this was hard. And it felt as if I had regressed all the way back.
I know of a lot of weird side effects that the GLP-1s have had. Just surprising things that people were not expecting. Pain maintenance has not been one of them. So I don't understand. I don't understand what she's getting ready to launch into. Her story is that she's come off of the Wegovy, and when she came off of the Wegovy, from the sounds of it, her lipedema started hurting badly. And she started to gain weight again. Which the weight gain, I know, is a symptom of coming off of any of the GLP-1s, because, again, she did nothing to change her lifestyle or her diet. So there's nothing to keep the weight off, basically, once she's off the GLP-1. But this weird pain flare-up, specifically in her lipedema, in the areas where she has the lipedema, it just seems weird to me. But again, I've not experienced this, so if you have and you feel safe sharing, let me know, because I'm genuinely curious.
The first week I was off it, I started to just have pain in my legs, feeling like a giant bruise. Data couldn't lie next to me, couldn't lie on my lap. The second week I was off it, I started to have difficulties like walking distances. You know, for me, walking 5 to 6 miles a day was pretty normal. It was something I did, you know, at least that's what my Apple Watch told me. And now I was walking like 2-3 miles and things started to really hurt.
I think you need to have your Apple Watch recalibrated.
My workouts started to become really, really hard. Even when I asked my trainer to like reduce the workout weights, I couldn't do them. Like, it was as if my muscles had just magically atrophied. I am afraid that a lot of the work I've done on my mobility and the way my body works to kind of help counter my hyperextension may be gone. I have a feeling it's gone because I'm starting to have pain in my ankle again, and I haven't had pain in my ankle since I did that, and I just like...
I think here she's talking about when she was training for her 5K, she went to a place called Run Lab, and one of the first things the physical therapists there told her was that she doesn't even walk correctly. And so I know a lot of the early work that she did with them was basically learning how to walk properly. So I think that's what she's referring to here, but you can just tell by the way she's been walking since the 5K that she's not really been practicing any of that, because it's one of those situations where, you know, I liken it to like when I started taking ballet. Like your body has to move a certain way in ballet because that's the point of ballet. Um, but you, until it becomes muscle memory, you have to mentally remember to point your toe, to turn your knee, to flex this muscle, to keep your turnout going. Like there's a lot going on. And until it becomes muscle memory, you kind of have to remember to do it. And it takes a while, especially as an adult, because like your body's already done. Your body's built the way it's going to be built now. And you kind of have to like stretch it out of shape to get it to do the thing it needs to do. It's not impossible. It just takes a lot of effort. And I imagine relearning how to walk properly is a fairly similar process, right? And until it becomes muscle memory, which takes months of like active practice, you know, you don't just practice for like 2 minutes every day and suddenly you're able to like dance on point correctly, you know, it doesn't work like that. So I imagine learning to walk like that also requires months of active mindful practice, right?
I have to do this assessment in like a couple days, and I am like terrified she's gonna tell me that I'm locking my legs again because I worked so freaking hard to not do that.
I just don't believe her. I know she's crying, but I just don't believe her. I think crying is her way of like deflecting. And she kind of mentions this in her book a few times about how she'll throw a tantrum. Now, she was mentioning when she was like a teenager how she would do this, but it's a habit that she's mentioned that she has. So I would imagine she's carried that into adulthood where she tries to deflect by crying, where I think she knows she hasn't worked as hard as she could have worked or at all. And so now she's trying to deflect from the negative repercussions by crying and trying to convince us that, yes, I have worked really hard, even though I think she knows she hasn't.
But it's just my body trying to stop the pain I'm living in. I now wake up every day in pain, and it's really bad. And I am trying to smile through it, and I'm trying to live through it. But
2 weeks. She's mentioned she's been off it for 2 weeks at this point. I will be generous and say 3. Maybe this is week 3 that she's been off Wegovy.
I am crying a lot. I'm traveling with my creative partner, John, and I just keep apologizing because I'm so slow and I'm so tired all the time. And it feels like everything I fought for the last 2 years has just been like ripped out of my hands. And there's new pain that I didn't have when I started my health journey, and I don't understand it, and I can't even predict it, but I'm starting to have pain in my shoulders and my upper arms. And so the whole thing with like not being able to have my dog on my thigh, now I can't lay on my side because this hurts, like this area feels.
When have you been home to cuddle your dog? Like, you have been on vacation for at least, I don't know, a week every month this year except for January, maybe. Like, you've literally been on a vacation every month this year. And I know that because you post about it. I don't do any background digging, right? So this is all stuff she's shared. When have you been home to cuddle your dog?
It's just like so bruised.
Somebody did tell me that the lipedema does cause you to bruise easier, so maybe that's what she's feeling. I may or may not cut out these long pauses where she just sobs or stares off into the distance because they are pointless, and just add time to this video. So if there's like a weird jump, that's because I've cut out dead air on her end.
I know surgery is gonna help, but it all seems really overwhelming right now. And I can't help feeling like a failure. And I know sharing this, I am going to get shredded online. I know that is what so many people are going to do.
I wouldn't have posted this video. I don't think she shouldn't be sharing that she's going to be getting surgery because it'll be noticeable, I assume. her lipedema is pretty pronounced, so I imagine if she went to surgery and it like magically wasn't there anymore, I think it would be very noticeable. So she should mention that she's going to do it, or that she has had it done, I suppose, after the fact. But like, there were so many other ways you could have done this that wasn't you bawling in front of a camera, desperately searching for sympathy and support, which is what this is. She needs outside validation for her decision, even though she claims she's not using the internet to make decisions. Okay, maybe she's not making decisions based on the internet, but she's definitely looking to the internet to have her decisions reinforced, right? So that's what this is. But I don't think you should post videos where you cry. That's just a personal opinion. I don't think it works in anybody's favor.
And I remember I watched a video. I don't even know who this creator was. I just watched someone's like reaction because of course I've been trying to figure out like what happens when you get surgery, like other people have been diagnosed, you know.
Okay, first off, you should never watch reactions about yourself, period. End of discussion. I did have a very positive experience where one of the gentlemen that I reacted to did watch my reaction to him and said I was nicer than he expected, and that's fine. Because it really did open up a really cute interaction, and I appreciated it. But even to that person, I would say, don't watch reactions about yourself. Just don't do it. It's not good. Same thing with Anna. Don't watch reactions about yourself. It's nothing positive's going to come out of it, usually. Secondly, like, why are you turning to a reaction channel to find out information about your lipedema surgery? Talk to your doctor. You know? Or go someplace where there are other people who have had lipedema and had the surgery. Like, why are you turning to reaction channels? Most of us don't even know what this was until either Jordan Underwood talked about it or you started talking about it. So how are we the people you're turning to for information?
I'm curious, like I'm acknowledging and accepting this, and it helps.
It helps to watch reaction channels? Okay.
That's why I'm making this to help somebody else go through that journey maybe a little bit smoother. But this man made a video where she's like, she doesn't even pronounce the condition wrong. It's lipedema, not lipedema. And all I could think was, my doctor's only ever said lipedema. So, asshole man on the internet, you're wrong.
Sorry. I about died this time too. I like that she watches this reaction to herself, and the part of it that aggravates her to the point of like rage quitting is that the guy criticizes her pronunciation of lipedema. Okay. that's the button to that's the straw that broke the camel's back. All right, cool, whatever. First off, don't watch reaction channels. Secondly, don't give a shit. You okay?
And that's what I realized in that moment, was that like everything I say, someone is going to tell me I'm wrong. And I am really grateful that I made the decision to not share this until I was ready. Because I don't know if I would have made the decision that I've made, but I ultimately know it's the right decision.
We are not your doctors. We are not your therapists. We are not your friends. Do not use the internet to base life decisions on. And don't let, what did you call him? Asshole man on the internet change your mind about something that you and your doctor have discussed.
I think the hardest thing about all of this, and it's just like when I think about it, it's like for the last 2 years, being physically active has become a huge part of my life and my joy. And I fought for that activity. I fought for that movement. And it's like someone has just ripped everything I love just out of my hands and taken it away.
She really does have this complex that she talks as if there is some dark cabal of people following her around, waiting for her to find some spark of joy so that they can reach down and grab it away from her personally. Like their whole purpose in life is just to shadow her and make sure she's unhappy at all times. Like it's like paranoia. You know, she really does talk as if there are a living, breathing group of people who are, their life goal is to make sure she's miserable. And like, she talks like this frequently. And in situations like this where she's just like having a meltdown on camera because for some reason that seemed like a good idea, she really does bring it up. You know, like, they're just taking it away from me. I had to fight for it. You stepped into like an MMA ring and decided to fight someone who personifies the idea of immobility, and that's how you gain the right to exercise? I don't understand your thought process, Anna. You didn't fight for shit. You know? I don't know. There wasn't somebody holding you down and being like, you gotta fight me off before you're allowed to walk a 5K. Like, that didn't happen. You just decided to walk a 5K, paid some company a bunch of money to train you to do it, and then you shambled your way through a 5K and claimed that you ran. Like, that's what you did. That's not fighting for it.
And I just want it back. And I'm going to keep fighting to get it back because I deserve to have joy. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to move in my body freely. And I don't deserve this pain.
Who is preventing you from moving in your body freely? Who has put a physical chain around you and refused to let it go? Therefore, you can't freely move around. The other thing that this kind of, the way she talks reminds me of is that, like, people who are like, that's not fair, that's not fair, that's not fair. Yeah, life isn't fair. Like, you're almost 40 and you're still worried about everything being fair. This is the reward for the way you've been living your life up to this point. And that's something else she says later on, like, people are going to tell me that it's all my fault. It's kind of is, Anna. This is kind of what happens. This is what people have been literally warning you about for decades, and you've just kind of ignored. So, like, you having a meltdown now is really just kind of like too little too late.
And I think that's the hardest thing is, like, and I'm honestly working through this in therapy because it's a lot, but I'm not.
I can't imagine being her therapist. Just seeing how she's treated other professionals that she's worked with on camera, where she just basically goes in and tells them what they're going to do. I cannot imagine trying to be her therapist. Like, how did that first meeting go where she walks into the therapist office and she's just like, this is how we're going to therapize? You know, I can't imagine that went over well, and B, I just don't see that being productive as a form of therapy. But, you know, not my therapist.
I'm not the problem. The condition is the problem. And that's hard because, like, as a bigger body, you're just gaslit your whole life to feel like you're the problem.
And that's not how you use the word gaslighting, but whatever. That's TikTok talking right there. You have not been gaslit to believe that you are the problem. You don't fit in chairs. That's not the chair's fault. You don't fit through doors. That's not the door's fault. You need bariatric furniture. That's not the furniture's fault. You know? It's not like the world originally fit you and then someone went around and purposefully shrank everything so that you no longer fit. That's not what happened. It's the exact opposite, actually.
But you're not. You're not the problem. I think I need to be really honest about the fact that I'm scared. I know that surgery is the right option, but I am so afraid that it won't solve the problem. That I will put myself through a lot of pain. Different type of pain, but pain nonetheless, and a lot of, emotional, I want to say trauma because this is traumatic, and it won't be better. I don't feel great going into this, but I don't think anybody does. I don't think anybody goes into surgery being like, yay!
I was pretty excited to get my surgery over and done with, though. I probably wasn't, like, leading a parade to the doctor's office, but once I was there, I was pretty ready to be done.
I think if you live with this condition, you're watching this, probably nodding your head and you get it. And I hope for two things. One, I hope that this works. And two, I hope that content like this will help other people.
Is this helpful? Is watching a grown-ass woman have a meltdown on camera helpful? Is this helping someone? Anna has spent her entire YouTube career and her entire social media career telling her followers that there's nothing wrong with being obese and that You know, that just be obese and live your life. There's nothing bad will come of it. And now she's dealing with the repercussions of being super morbidly obese her entire life, or just at least morbidly obese her entire life. And now she wants to be the great hero who is changing their life and saving themselves from the problems that they have that are pretty much all tied to her obesity. Could she have gotten lipedema and not been obese? Yes, I suppose that could have happened. Is that what happened? No, that's not what happened. Okay? Has Anna been losing weight? Yes, because she was taking Wegovy and she changed nothing else about her lifestyle. So when she came off the Wegovy, all of the weight came back, right? Or at least it has started to come back. Anna wants us to believe that there's no excess weight on her body, that all she is a bunch of loose skin and lipedema. And you can clearly tell that is not true. She has regained mass in her neck. She's getting that thumb look that she had. Her shoulders are starting to broaden out again. Like, she's gaining weight in areas where the lipedema isn't, right? So that's how you know she's putting on fat and not lipedema, like she's going to claim here in a little bit, right? If anyone's gaslighting anyone, Anna is desperately trying to gaslight herself and her audience into believing that nothing that's wrong with her has anything to do with her obesity. You're literally seeing an obesity specialist. Why would you be seeing an obesity specialist if there was nothing wrong with being obese?
There are so many mixed messages about bodies. I mean, you're damned if you seek treatment, you're damned if you don't.
And this just talks more about how Anna perceives the world than how other people perceive the world. Anna sees any kind of intervention or any kind of request for help as a weakness. She mentions it in her book a few times. When I don't think that's the majority. I'm sure there are people who think that, obviously. But I think the majority of people, and the majority of people that react to her, honestly, none of them have ever condemned her for seeking help. They have questioned her for not mentioning that she did it with the Wegovy and all that. But no one has ever said you're an evil, bad failure of a person because you went on Wegovy. No one's ever said that, right? So this talks more about how Anna perceives the world than about how the world perceives Anna.
And I'll say this, and this is controversial, and I don't even freaking care anymore. If I'm controversial, it's fine.
You're not, don't worry.
But on one hand, people are telling you it is all your fault, and you are the problem, and you are making choices that led you to this. And on the other hand, you have a community of people who are telling you you were just meant to be big, don't do anything about it. And guess what? Both of those are wrong.
One group has science and facts backing it up. The other group is nothing but a bunch of feels, and I don't want to take responsibility for my own life choices. Gonna err on the side that has evidence and facts and science backing it up over a bunch of people who are unwilling to change their lifestyle in order to save their own lives. Putting that one out there.
So I would say to anyone, if you feel like you are trapped in your body, and this isn't about aesthetics, this isn't about looking cute or being enclosed, but it's okay to pursue changes in your body for those reasons. But I am talking about a very different feeling when you feel like your body is fighting you. See somebody about it. And don't just see like a random person on the internet. Like, go see a doctor.
Why is that the first thing that goes into your mind? If you feel like you need help, go get help. But don't get it from a random person off the internet. That's oddly specific, Anna. Is that what you did? Like, why? Hey, there's something wrong with me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the internet. Why? I mean, unless you literally cannot go to a doctor. That's not Anna's problem, by the way.
My only regret at this point, especially after getting everyone kind of telling me that, I'm stage 4, which is like the worst. And also it seems like, and again, we don't know for sure because there's just so many unknowns at this point, but it seems like I'm producing lipidemic cells faster than I'm burning like healthy fat cells, which is part of the reason I stopped losing weight.
It's like lipedemic cells apparently weigh more than regular fat cells. Apparently, I don't know. I guess. I'm also confused. I've read 2 studies now that have basically said that you're born with a certain number of fat cells that you maintain over your lifetime. And that you don't actually, when you get obese, you're not actually gaining cells. Your cells are just stretching like a rubber band, apparently. I've only read 2 studies on this at this point. Neither of them address lipedema. So, is a lipedema fat cell a brand new fat cell that the body has generated? Or is it one of your normal fat cells that has become lipedemic? If that's not a word, it is now. So, that's where I get confused here. Because if it is, and I know that the only way to get rid of a lipedemic fat cell is to physically remove it from the body. If that's true, then you are removing the total number of fat cells that you have from your body, much like liposuction would do, which I think is literally what they're going to do. It's just kind of a different form of it. I don't know. So if it's your fat cells become lipedemic, does that mean there's the chance that more of your fat cells can turn into lipedemic, like the ones that don't get removed can become lipedemic at some point? Or I don't know, can you just remove the lipedemic cells and your regular fat cells continue to exist inside your body? Because according to the papers that I've read, all 2 of them, you don't get new cells, or the turnover of cells doesn't increase, right? So if you lose like 10% of your fat cells over your lifetime, your body will regenerate those same fat cells, but not more.
I'm just mad I didn't do this sooner. And a lot of the reason I didn't do it sooner is because and this is so hard to say, I was scared of the optics, because I wanted to believe I could do it myself. And it felt like pursuing surgery, pursuing medical treatment was me being a failure. And that is just simply not it.
Again, this just says more about how Anna perceives the world than how the world perceives Anna.
I'm still working through that mental hurdle, but I need to say that because I think it's really important for people to hear. You are not a failure if you seek treatment.
Anna needs to hear this.
You are not a failure if you accept your condition. You are not a failure if you want to stop the pain.
What would you think that you are?
Especially if you're in the later stages like I am. Just magically eat well and exercise it away. I am living proof of that.
You're not, though. You're really not. Jordan has stage 4 lipolipedema, and Jordan has done compression treatments, wrapping treatments, the lymphatic massage, exercise in the form of water aerobics, and I think they were doing dance classes last I checked. It's been a while. And they completely overhauled their diet. And their legs, granted, they are still obese. Last few times I've checked in on them. But they have lost weight. And their lipedema hasn't improved. It has improved without surgery. There's been no surgery yet. I don't recall if they're actually going to pursue surgery or not. I don't remember. You're not living proof that that's true. You're living proof that you didn't do the things that you're claiming you did do, but you're trying to convince everyone, including yourself, that you did. Jordan is living proof that if you do the things you're supposed to do, that it will improve. Do they still have lipolipedema? Yes. Is the treatments improved it to the point where their mobility has come back, they've lost weight, and their legs no longer look like tubes, they look like legs? Yeah, that's all they did. Now, granted, it took them months to do that, and it had to be done in stages. But it was my understanding they weren't even qualified for surgery until they did those therapies. Anna's never done any of it. And the reason I can say that with some certainty is like Jordan had to wrap their legs for 23 out of the 24 hours of a day. Constantly. Not just one day of the week. Like constantly. Every day they had to wrap their legs basically for the entire day. And that was months worth of treatment. And that, and they started with their lower leg and then they moved up to their upper leg before their legs finally basically squished down. They basically had to squish the water and stuff out of their legs, right? Anna's never done that. Anna's never wrapped herself. I've never seen her wear compression garments beyond like a few times she's worn Spanx when she's doing a try-on haul. I've never seen her wear I've never seen her do any of the things that she claims she's done. I've never even heard her talk about it, right? Not even like a slip up. Okay? So I don't believe that she's done any of the shit she claims she's done. I think she just wants us to believe it. And I think she wants to believe it. But there's literally no evidence to support this. It's like she just sees the surgery as a shortcut to solving the problem. And since she's got the money, somebody apparently is willing to do it, whether it's the right option or not. So maybe that's why she's concerned about it not working, because she's not done the steps properly and she's just jumping ahead. And that typically has a failure rate. Anyway.
I think there are some very special people where that works, and that's why it's not a cut and dry line.
So you think Jordan Underwood is special, and that the only reason it worked for Jordan Underwood is because they're somehow genetically gifted in a way that you're not?
What I know for me and my body, I have done everything right, and I have to take solace in that I've done everything I possibly could do on my own, and it's not worked.
She's desperate to believe this, and she's desperate to convince us. And this is a form of dark manipulation, because if she can convince us, it's like with Amber, I've been on every diet. No, you haven't. You've been on a bunch of fad diets. You literally did them for 24 hours, and they didn't work. No shit. Anna's the same way. Maybe she wrapped her leg one day. Maybe she got one lymphatic massage and she didn't like it or whatever, or she realized it was going to be too much of a commitment and then stopped doing it. That's not the same as doing everything in your power. All right? That's trying something, not liking it, and giving up. Okay?
It's done what it can do, and then it just stopped.
And just going off of her body language, I think she knows. This is gaslighting.
I don't even...
The point of that long break that I've probably cut out is emotional manipulation. She's trying to emotionally manipulate her audience into feeling sorry for her and believing that she is sincere when she got done telling us that she had done everything in her power, and it just doesn't work. Yes, Anna, because somehow your body defies the laws of physics. It's weird how many of these like super morbidly obese people, how their bodies just defy the laws of nature. It's insanity.
Sorry, I just stopped there because
I just wanted to manipulate my audience further.
I'm emotionally overwhelmed. I'm trying to keep it together. I've tried to film this like 8 times.
And you should have deleted it all 8 times.
And I don't know if I've gotten the words right, but I think at this point it doesn't matter if I've gotten the words right. If you accept me and what's in my heart, that's great. And if you don't, I wish you a good day and goodbye.
I'm not the creator for you. If you don't like me, don't follow me. All right. Considering this is 16 hours old, you have 2.2 million subscribers and it only has 37K views.
There is always going to be someone that wants me to be a villain. But I don't need to be that villain in my life anymore. I don't need to be the person that's mean to me anymore.
This is more of her establishing that baseline of her being the victim, and she's gonna rise above it. And if we criticize her because we want her to be the villain, any criticism towards her at this point is making her the villain, and we need her to be the villain for some reason. I need Anna to be a villain. I don't know. But this is what she's doing. She's just establishing a baseline so that she can build on it going forward. And also it creates like a barrier. So like if I know I will get somebody in my comment section, why are you so mean to her? I'm not being mean. I'm being critical. There's a difference. The fact that you can't differentiate that tells me a lot. But it's the same thing with Anna. Anna can't tell the difference between criticism and abject meanness. Okay, me saying sure Jan and prove it, those are not me being mean. That's just me pointing out this doesn't make sense and you really haven't demonstrated the things that you're claiming. That's criticism. That's not meanness.
I don't need to be that. And so me getting this surgery and taking care of myself and continually fighting for me is really part of being kind to myself.
But her sitting here claiming that she's done everything else, which she hasn't, and that the only option is surgery. Fine, sure, whatever. And any criticism otherwise is just us being mean and wanting her to be the villain. The villain of what? Like, tell me you've got main character syndrome without telling me you've got main character syndrome here.
And doing the best I can for myself. And if people can't see that, it's... those people don't serve me.
We're going off of what you've shown us over the years. We're going off of, me especially, going off of your clothing hauls, your constant vacations, your weird cook with me videos, your other weird videos where you're sucking down Starbucks at, like, they're going out of fashion. You know, your constant trips to Disney. I'm just going off of the things that you have shared to make my opinions over whether or not you've actually tried. And at no point in any of those videos does it ever look like you're actually trying. Even your exercise videos are so half-assed, and like your form has never really improved, which tells me that you're not doing it enough to improve your form. You know, like, it's fine if you start off as a beginner and your form's not great. That's expected. But you're making the claim that you've been working out for 9 months nonstop every day for 30 minutes, and your form still looks exactly the same as it did the first day you showed us your workout. That would be like me showing you me doing ballet for the first time, and then 9 months down the road, me being like, hey, everybody, watch my recital. And my recital is still as terrible as the first day. You wouldn't believe that I'd been practicing for 9 months, and you would be right, probably. Like, the chances are if you do something for 9 months, you're probably going to improve, unless you're actively trying not to improve, which would make no sense. But Anna runs on spite sometimes, so maybe. It's just, I'm only going off of what Anna shows us, and I can make these determinations, right?
And that's it. I think I definitely need to make a better video about how to get diagnosed. I had all these things I was going to talk about, like all the processes I went through.
You should make a better video about it, and maybe write a script, and also delete this. Like, you should never have posted this video.
And how I was diagnosed and what other, like, comorbidities I have, because it's very often that when you have lipedema, you have other issues.
And whatever those issues are probably have more to do with your obesity than they do with your lipedema. But I'm sure you're going to spin it in a way to make it sound like all of these comorbidities that you have are because of your lipedema.
But I just emotionally can't do that right now.
You can't emotionally put together a well thought out, logical video demonstrating why you're making the decisions you're making and giving a timeline so that we, your audience, can follow along logically. You couldn't be bothered to do that, but you could be bothered to turn the camera on and sob in front of it for 20 minutes. Cool. Pardon me if I'm not sympathetic.
But I will when I feel just better in this.
You are literally digging for sympathy. All right, I'm gonna let this play out because I know that at the end of this video, she basically just sobs in front of the camera, digs for sympathy, fishes around for validation, and then at the end babbles something incoherent about, I don't even remember. It was so unmemorable, but yeah, let's get done with this.
Every day I cry, every freaking day I cry. And every day I just think maybe if I get a good night's sleep, it'll feel better, and it's not. It's usually worse. But that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this. Because I matter and because I need it. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this, because it's what I need to do. I love y'all. You have been so supportive on this journey, and I just want to say thank you. This is the last thing I want to say because it's in my head, and I think someone needs to hear it, so I'm just gonna say it. I've spent a lot of my life hiding my pain because I felt like a burden, because I felt like That if I told people I hurt, that if I told people things were hard, that they would think I was a burden, that I was challenging or difficult, and that they would not include me in things. So I just found ways to mask it, to hide it, to keep going, even when it was not great to keep going.
Anna is the kind of person that I would assume is challenging and difficult, not because that she mentioned she's in pain or something like that. I would just go off of her constant need to be the center of attention. I'm not gonna lie, guys. If I saw someone like Anna walking down the street in those god awful outfits that she wears, I would not want anything to do with them, because I would just assume that she's incredibly high maintenance. She's probably low effort on her end, high maintenance on my end, and just a constant drama queen. That would just be my thought. And I realize I'm judging a book by its cover at that point, because maybe that's not what that person's like at all. But in Anna's case, I would be dead on. So her mentioning that she's in pain or that something hurts her or that she's tired, which, by the way, she does in every freaking vacation video she's ever put out that I've watched. Okay? She's constantly talking about how she's tired. She's constantly talking about how she's in pain. She's constantly talking about how her body can't do XYZ, right? So I don't know where this confession of hers has come from, because, like, you are always talking about this, Anna.
And I didn't know there was an alternative. And I just want to know.
Oh, by the way, this is the same fucking confession, whatever moment, this part coming up that we had at the end of the Finland trip, where it's like, there are people in your life who love you, and you should turn to them when you need them. It's not that I don't agree with the sentiment behind the statement. It's just, we've already done this, so this is not a new realization for her, even though she's about to claim that it's a new realization for her. So she forgets. She forgets all of the realizations that she has over the years.
You don't know if you feel that way. And this is something I've literally learned in like the last 2 days. The people in your life that love you will understand. And just to tell them, to let them help you. I've had times, or at the end of the day, I can't walk data because I hurt too much. And to see my friends step up and help me has not only made me closer to them, but it's also made me feel so loved and supported. So I would say let those people in. Let those people know your pain. You're not a burden. You're not. Okay. I need to go cry into a pillow right now.
Hooray. I'm just going to end it here. I wondered who was taking care of the dog, and I guess my question has been answered, that other people have been taking care of Data. Data is the name of her dog that she's got, who... I don't know where the damn dog is, honestly. We're talking about cuddling the dog. When have you cuddled the dog? When have you been home to cuddle the dog? All right, this is take 2. We finally have sound. Oddly enough, it took just as long to do this as it did last time. So if you've made it this far, go ahead and leave a sunshine emoji down in the comments section, because we're in sunny Miami right now, and it's way too fucking hot here, is what it is. So that's your emoji. Let me know down in the comments section down below what you think of the video so far. I had a lot of thoughts. I am curious, for people who have been on Wegovy and come off of Wegovy, did you have like painful withdrawal symptoms? Like, is that a thing for Wegovy? Because it might be. I've never heard it, but I'm not an expert, so it's entirely possible that that is a real thing. The other thing I was like really curious about is for people who have had the surgery for their lipedema, like what was it like? Like, did it fix the problem? Did the lipedema come back? I mean, she says it's going to be a very painful process. I don't know. I've never had it again. I don't know anyone around me who does, so there's that. So if you feel like sharing, that would be great. Again, the internet's not a safe space, so please don't trauma dump in the comments section. It's not good for anybody. But yeah, those 2 things I was just really curious about. by her own counting, it sounds like she's been off Wegovy for like 2, maybe 3 weeks. Again, I have no idea how old this actual video is. I know when it was posted, and that's all I've got. Judging by her outfit, this is her in Miami, but honestly, looking at the room, this doesn't look like the room she was in for the swimsuit try-on haul, so I don't know. This video could be even older. She does have her orange suitcase, so I'm sure if I sat down and did some research, I could figure it out, but there it is what it is. So, I don't know, I guess she'll pop back on here at some point post-surgery and we'll find something else out, or maybe she really will make a video where she's not crying in it to tell us about how and why and what she's getting done. Like, we don't know anything about the surgery. We really don't. All we know is she's having the surgery, and then she just went on a crying. She just started crying, and that's all we know. Basically, we don't know anything more at the end of this video than we did going into the video, and she already typed out "I'm having surgery" as the title of the video, so we don't really know anything. Anyway, once again, your emoji is a sun or sunshine, and yeah, I will see everybody in the next one. Bye!
This is my outro music. You can't copyright strike me because it's just me singing. This is my outro music. Thank you for watching. See you next time.